Hey guys, Pete here. This is going to be a follow-up to my Season 7, Episode 5 trailer breakdown for Game of Thrones. I'm going to look at what we've seen as far as new photos from HBO this week and look a little closer at some of the things that we talked about in the comments from the trailer breakdown. If you're not caught up through Game of Thrones Season 7, Episode 4, then there will be spoilers in this video and you're going to want to go watch something else. So the first new photo we got from HBO is Tyrion walking across the field after the battle. One of the big topics of conversation this week has been the fate of his brother, Jaime. While most people don't believe he's dead, it is a big question mark as to what's going to happen to him once they fish him out of the water. Just like I don't think he's going to drown, I don't think that he got pulled right out right away where Daenerys could just kill him. So the most likely theories are that he will escape and head back to King's Landing, or he will come out of the water and he'll become a prisoner. He is noticeably left out of the trailer and these photos, but I think the fact that we see Tyrion walking across the field is a good indication that he's going to come in contact with Jaime. So the big question isn't, is he going to meet Jaime? It's whether he's going to meet him before he gets away, or will he meet him as a prisoner later on down the road? I'm not really sure which way I lean on this, and it leads to a lot of speculation that we really don't know the answer to, and we won't until it happens. I mean, personally, I don't think that Jaime will remain a prisoner throughout the rest of the season, but that could mean that he becomes a prisoner and then Tyrion betrays Dany and lets him go. After all, he kind of owes that to Jaime. Jaime defied both Cersei and Tywin by letting him go, and that led directly to Tywin's death at Tyrion's hand. I do think that Tyrion and Jaime have an unbreakable bond, not just for this, but, for lots of things that have happened in their past. So if he meets him face to face on the field somehow before he's been captured, I would imagine that Tyrion would let him go. And if he becomes a prisoner, if push comes to shove, I can see him letting him go as well. So chime in down below here to let me know what you guys think, but I just don't really see Jaime being held hostage for any significant period of time, and I don't see Tyrion going along with much in the way of anything besides bargaining, and I just don't see Cersei going for it. If they were to say, hey, we'll trade you Jaime for something else, you know what I mean? Like, what's the trade? Like, leave King's Landing and we'll give you Jaime back? She's not going to go for that. So this is something that is going to develop, and I think it'll develop quickly, but I just don't know for sure how it's going to play out. The next photo is from the trailer, more or less. It's a photo of Dany and Tyrion looking on at the soldiers of the defeated Lannister army. Not much new to talk about here. I mean, we talked about this before. The one thing I wanted to clear up, though, is that I was talking about in the trailer breakdown how her tone with these soldiers was different. Like, the people who followed her to Westeros followed her because they wanted to. She was their liberator, she was a liberating force. And some people got that mixed up and commented that why would these guys think of her that way? I wasn't saying that, or that, she's gone completely mad queen or anything either. I'm just saying that her conquest of Westeros is much different than what we saw in Essos. It's a brand new situation. Things might not be great under the Lannisters, and Cersei did blow up the Sept, but outside of that, there hasn't been anything major going on politically to have these people where they all want to get out of this crazy Lannister rule, you know what I'm saying? So that's all I was doing, was comparing those two things. Her role here is different. And there's a lot of history here because the Mad King is still fresh in people's memory. It's not so long ago that people forget. We have two Episode 5 photos that involve Varys. In the first, we see him sitting at the map table in the Dragonstone map room. I would assume that this is connected to Jon talking about the Night King moving towards Eastwatch, since the episode is titled Eastwatch, and that's the only thing from the trailer where we saw that was related to the map room, and Varys was in that shot. The next one is him and Tyrion sitting there drinking some wine. Also probably just a different angle of the shot in the trailer. This was one that a lot of people talked about in the comments of my video because Varys says to Tyrion, you have to find a way to make her listen. Initially, I said that I thought this was about Daenerys, but a lot of people seem to think that he might be talking about Cersei. And frankly, this is a complete rabbit hole here. In my mind, I can't think of any reason why Tyrion would be a good candidate to parley with Cersei. I mean, she wants him dead. Matter of factly, no question about it, she just wants him dead. Even if we don't even talk about Maggie the Frog and everything else that kind of has driven her life to this point, the chances of her listening to or just not killing Varys or Tyrion on sight are very low. Now, of course, there's different things that could happen that would change the dynamic, but none of those things have happened yet. So I still kind of stand by the idea that I think he is talking about Daenerys here, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong anytime. If he is talking about Cersei, let's just hope that there's some kind of explanation of how they expect that they'd be able to have an actual conversation with Cersei that doesn't end in the mountain smashing someone's head against the wall. If this is after Jaime has been a prisoner, I can kind of buy into it, but still, there's a lot of stuff that has to happen in order for that talk to go down. Speaking of Cersei, the next shot is her on a bed, and it looks like she's deep in thought about something. Could be that the gold has arrived and that she found out that they got destroyed on the field after that. Could be that she got word that Jaime's been captured. Could be a lot of things. When I first saw this, I did think about the fact that they had that scene after she did the whole dungeon atrocity with the sand snakes, and the fact that she went to Jaime and had sex with him right after that. Like, it seemed like a really weird combination of scenes there, and I kind of joked about it in the recap that, it was kind of showing that it turned her on that she was doing that, but there could be something else. And that could tie back into the fact that in the earlier episode where her and Jaime are talking, he says, all of our kids are dead. What do we need to have a dynasty for? So since we don't really know how long things are in between and all that kind of stuff, when I first saw it, I thought maybe this was her experiencing pregnancy, but I don't know that there's anything great to back that up. Then we got our two pictures of Jon. In one, he looks like he's approaching the field. I don't know if he's approaching Daenerys or if he's approaching where she's landing based on the trailer. To me, it looks like he's walking up to her to have the conversation that we see in the second photo. They're having a heart-to-heart. It looks a little bit heated, and I made a whole video about how this is probably another sign that they're going to end up together before the end of the season. You should check that out if you haven't seen it. Turns out people have a lot of feelings about that. But I think it's most likely that this is more him telling her he needs to get out of Dragonstone. He's got his dragon glass and he needs to go. But I don't know is it before they get the Raven from Bran and we see that where they're talking about Eastwatch, or if it's before that and he leaves and then comes back. It's hard to say for sure. But Jon has been in Dragonstone for a very long time at this point, so I'd say it's safe to say he's ready to get moving because he knows that the White Walkers are moving. And whether this is before the Raven comes or not, that will just be the part that says, okay, this needs to happen right now. The final photo is of Sam and Gilly at the Citadel. They're looking through literature, which you can't really tell what's there. It looks like Sam is transcribing those scrolls like he was supposed to, and they're having a conversation either about something that Gilly found or they're just discussing something else that Sam came across. I'm guessing this is pretty predictably he's going to find out that information that he needs to make him leave the Citadel, because I don't see what the point of him being there anymore will be. The popular theories here about what he's going to find are that he's going to find out something that's essential to defeating the White Walkers, and that's going to send him to Winterfell to talk to Bran because he's going to know that Bran has some serious abilities to see what's going on north of the wall, or that he's going to find out something about Rhaegar and Lyanna, most likely that they were married before Jon Snow was conceived, or at the very least that he's going to find out something about his parentage, which it makes a lot of sense. I don't know why he would go to Winterfell from there, but either way, he's going to find something here that's going to make him leave the Citadel before too long. So if this photo is an indication of that, I wouldn't be surprised, but it's really kind of hard to tell because we can't see what they're looking at in the books. So other stuff that came up this week over the last episode, quite a few of you guys asked me in the comments if I thought that Qyburn might have poisoned the bolts in the Scorpion. I get that that's a thing that you could see Qyburn doing, especially since we got the foreshadowing of poison in the Elia and Tyene scene. But if it is, if he is poisoned, I just don't see Drogon dying no matter what. Like, it would be really a big surprise to me if the dragon dies. I mean, think about how this story's gone. Her hatching these dragons is the thing that's bringing magic back into the world, and they can't just start dying all of a sudden. I mean, they're important because they're supposed to go up against the White Walkers, right? So, yeah, that could be a thing, that he could be poisoned, but I just don't think that the dragon's going to die. Another thing I've been seeing around a lot too is this idea that Tyrion's betrayal will be that betrayal for love. And I know that they didn't actually bring this out in the show, but it is part of the overall story. And yeah, I think there's a good chance, like I said earlier, I think that there's a pretty good chance that he will, if he's put in that position, he will let Jaime go. I mean, he sort of has to. Another reason beyond what I said earlier, I just don't see Cersei ever making a deal to get Jaime back. So if you have an idea of what they could offer as a deal for her to trade something for Jaime, let me know in the comments, because I just can't really come up with one. They did foreshadow the Golden Company, and I've read some theories saying that that's going to be what tips the scales in order for her to beat Daenerys. I don't think that's going to happen. I think that just sort of evens things up again to draw, but I'll be interested to read what you guys think too. Another thing that a lot of people are talking about at this point is Gendry's return. I think that is likely. I don't want to get into flat-out filming spoilers here, because everything that came from that is speculation anyways. But we do know Joe Dempsey, who played Gendry, attended the LA premiere. We know he was in Spain and he shot scenes. And if we look at everything else as far as what we expect to happen, I think it makes the most sense for him to come out here. Many people have said that Jon needs a blacksmith for all of this dragon glass that he's mining. That could be a way that it brings Gendry back into the story. They go looking for one, they find him. Other people have brought up the fact that Melisandre left for Volantis. But I know I read an article with Carice Van Houten, and she'd said that she has no more scenes in season 7. So I think that's less likely. Her role will come back out in season 8. As far as other stuff that we haven't seen at all, I would like to see the Hound arrive at Eastwatch. He had that vision, so we could imagine that's where he's headed. With the rest of the Brotherhood Without Banners, I'd like to see that happen. I made a video about him and R'hllor a couple weeks back, and I'm very curious to see how that storyline is going to play out. I mean, we do know for sure that he's going to make it beyond the wall from trailers and things, so that would be nice just to see him get there at this episode. But other than that, I think that's about it. Let me know what you guys are excited about after you thought about it for a week. We're almost there. Please like the video if you enjoyed it. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. What do you think is going to happen up in Winterfell this episode? Let me know about that in the comments. Do you think anything major is going to happen at King's Landing with Cersei? Make sure you follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. You can interact with me over there. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you soon.